Hey everybody, welcome back to Rusty Wrench Restorations. I've got kind of a flipped video today. I'm going to show you the end before I show you the beginning because, yesterday I had a whole lot of things going on while I was filming the video you're about to see, and I kind of ended it prematurely. It was the end of the day, I was tired, and I was kind of ready to throw in the towel, and after I stopped filming, I got back at it. I got some more things apart, and I'm out here again this morning trying to finish it up before it rains. We got quite the storm coming through this afternoon, so I'm trying to get it done. So as you can see, the Oliver OC3 is safely unloaded into the work area, and I've got quite the pile of parts here. I've got the frame, an undercarriage with the rollers, both tracks, both idlers, the rear sprocket, axle tubes. Pretty much the whole thing has been taken apart. My intentions, I was going to bring this spare undercarriage over to my buddy's and drop it off at his house, and he's got some land in the back. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind, but if I left it there, it would get forgotten, and if I needed a part, it's kind of an hour each way plus trying to get tools, and it would be a nightmare. So the only reason I wanted the undercarriage was for parts in the future if I needed them. So I kind of figured the best thing is for me to just disassemble it here, keep what parts I need, and I can just scrap the rest, because once I drop it off over there, it's going to be forgotten into never land until I need something. So I'd rather have what I need here and just get rid of the excess and not bother him with having to keep it there. So and of course it doesn't roll, or it didn't roll, so there was that, and you'll see in this video coming up why it didn't roll, and we'll get there. But anyway, so here's where we're at. Like I said, OC3 is in there. The most of the track components are all sitting there, and there isn't much. I'm going to flip you around real quick, and you can see everything's pretty empty. So Bozo is a lifesaver. Again, this is why I always need to have some kind of loader here, and it's so that I can carry this stuff. I mean, this stuff just weighs a ton. Everything's heavy. You can see the what's left of the operating table here from taking everything apart. So yeah, got the trailer pretty much emptied out. I'm gonna take the nuts off the bottom of the rollers just because it's easy to get to right now, and then basically I just remove these 4 bolts on each side of the brackets to get the axle housing and sprocket off. So this thing, I think it's rated for like 700 pounds. I don't know what any of this stuff weighs. It's able to carry the axle tube and final drive with the sprocket on it, no problem. It takes the whole undercarriage frame assembly with the rollers, no problem. It can take 1 track assembly at a time, and that's it. And these things, I'll show you these later in the video too. These things are a lifesaver. I got these, I say these, it's really just one that I cut in half, but it's a ramp that kind of gets me over this curb, because without that, the Kubota just would not carry something of that weight up over that lip. And when I got the Sideshow Bobcat, I couldn't even, Bozo wouldn't even push the skid steer up over that. I had to put blocks of wood. I always keep a good pile of blocks of wood. Anyway, this is turning into a long story. I got a lot of work to do. I just wanted to kind of give you some foreshadowing as to where this video is going to end. But let's go back to the beginning. Hey everybody, welcome back to Rusty Wrench Restorations. I'm Steve, and today we're going to start moving some crawler parts around. Now, it's not a John Deere crawler, it's an Oliver crawler. If you saw in my other video, I purchased a 1957 Oliver OC3 track loader. So it's their OC3 version of their crawler, and it has a front end loader on it, which is pretty sweet. It's got a 2,000 pound lift capacity, which I think is pretty good for a machine that only weighs not even 4,000 pounds. I guess it's probably over that with the loader on it, but the crawler itself is like, I think 3,800 or something like that. So and as you remember, I also bought the undercarriage that went with it. It's a wide frame undercarriage, and it has the narrow track pads. Really the only reason I wanted it was, well, for the price, it was worth getting in case I need sprockets, rollers, idlers, or any other of the undercarriage components. Because those components, when they go bad, not only are they usually expensive to get, but because of the weight of them, it costs a lot in shipping. So I figured, had the opportunity, we'll get it, throw it on the trailer. The problem is, it's big, I don't have room here as it is, and it doesn't roll. So my good friend Brian had offered to keep it at his place, which is awesome. But I have a fear that if I do that, it's just going to sit there and get more rusty and even harder to get apart. So what's the point of having a parts machine if it ends up turning into a rusted heap or everything's locked up? So really, in my best interest, it's going to be to strip it down, get all the parts individualized and properly stored so that in the event that I need them, I have them, or if another Oliver collector is looking for a component that I have, hopefully I can help them out as well, because at the end of the day, that's what the hobby's all about. So I'm not really sure the extent of today's video and how much I'm actually going to film, because I don't know how I'm even going to get this thing apart. So we'll take a walk out there. I'll show you what I'm talking about. These Oliver tractors are a whole new animal for me. I've never worked on one before. I've never owned one. And that's kind of what intrigued me to getting it was I've done a bunch of John Deere crawlers, kind of been there, done there, got the t-shirt, and I wanted to do something new. The other aspect of it is that one of my grandfathers, my dad's dad, actually owned one of these Oliver crawlers when I was a kid. It had a V-blade snowplow blade on the front. They lived up in New Hampshire, so they get heavy amounts of snow. And it had a kind of a, I don't know if it was a makeshift cab, but someone had made it. It wasn't an OEM cab, but just to kind of keep you out of the weather. But it was originally used as a sidewalk plow. So the town or the city that was up there would, use it to clear the sidewalks of snow. The only thing I really remember about it, besides the fact that it was an OC3, was that the whole thing was painted light gray, like a battleship gray almost, if you will. And I just remember playing on it as a kid, and it had that old greasy tractor smell, kind of got some moss and some mustiness to it, and it just brings back vivid memories. So my plan right now, eventually when I restore this thing, is to get it back to OEM, looking how it's supposed to look. It's a dark forest green color. It's got red and yellow decals and accents and everything. And I want to do that just because eventually, I always end up selling everything. And it's going to be easier to sell it restored how it's supposed to be. But part of me wants to customize it, and part of me is saying that I don't know if I'm going to get rid of this thing, because I love crawlers, and to have one that's small like this, that has a functional loader that really can move some stuff around. It's got the belt pulley on the back. It's got a lot of features that I like. And I think I might end up just keeping it. I know I say that about everything and it doesn't happen, but so in that aspect, I kind of want to paint it that light gray color that my grandfather had. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Do you think I should restore this back to the original OEM forest green colors, or make it my own and do it the light gray and homage to my grandfather? So I'm kind of split 50-50. Haven't quite decided, but maybe with help from you guys we can make a decision. So anyway, let's get out there and I'll show you what I'm talking about, because these are definitely designed and put together a little bit different than the John Deere crawlers, and I think I can figure out how to get it apart, but we'll see. I got a book and it doesn't go into a lot of detail, but I guess we'll just have to see what happens. Alright, so as you can see, I have done nothing. Haven't taken them off the trailer or anything at all yet, because I've been debating if I want to bring it to storage or to Brian's or to take apart. So again, as I talked about, I just want these undercarriage components, the sprockets. I mean, this thing looks like a new sprocket almost. So the sprockets, the idler, all the rollers on the bottom, even these narrow track pads, like, me, I think I could end up using these for another project. So I just want like this section over, and then same thing with this side. I might try to see what's going on with the transmission. Everything's locked up. Who knows what's going on in there, but I'm sure there's some good parts. Obviously I want to save like the drawbar and stuff like that, but these extensions, or legs, I guess, if you will, are really my hindrance. I don't need those, and I don't need the frame. So, I knew that it would be bolted up on a flange here to the transmission. That's easy enough to get apart, and I thought it would be like that on this side too. You can probably see it better here in the light. But as I found out, this axle tube is all cast one piece with the final drive. So, I was hoping I could just unbolt it here and just keep the track frame separate and just get rid of the rest of this, but that's not going to work. And I'm hoping that I can just disconnect from here and slide the axle and everything out. From the drawings I saw in the book, it doesn't have any kind of like retainer clip or pin or anything. So I think, you know, these front ones are already loose. Those are going to come apart pretty easy. I think I'm going to take these U-bolts off and unbolt the frame part from the transmission. So basically it's just going to be the two undercarriages and the transmission with these axle tubes. And I think when I get this unbolted, I'm hoping I can slide the whole axle tube with the axle out of the differential, and then I'll just deal with this later, you know. I can't imagine I need a final drive housing, so I mean, even if I gotta get the torch and just cut this thing, so be it, you know. The meat and potatoes is what I want, is with this rolling gear here. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna get the impact out and start tearing this thing apart and see what we can do. I'd like to ultimately get these track undercarriages to the side of the house and get the OC3 unloaded and over there as well, so that I can get my trailer back in storage. It's kind of neat. I was looking on the back of the seat here. It's got a sign. It says Highway Machinery and Supply Company, Richmond, Virginia, sales, service, and rentals. So I looked it up online, and they've gone out of business and bought up by another company. So, but it's kind of neat that sign was still there. So a little bit of history. Richmond's not too far from me. It's about 2 hours. So, and then the loader on it, I was forgetting what it was. Oliver Loader, Oliver Corporation, model number 3WI. It's got the serial number, patent pending. It's made by Ware Machine Works in Ware, Massachusetts. So it's kind of neat. The company that owned this is about 2 hours away from where I live now, and the company that made the loader for this is about 2 hours from where I grew up as a kid. So kind of neat. So anyway, let me get some tools. Let's start tearing this bad boy apart. And look how wide this thing is. I think it's a 68 inch. They had 4 different frame widths. This was the widest one, I think 68, and it went down to like 62 or 64. I can't remember. This is the second widest. It was like 42 or 46. Anyway, there was 4 different widths for these, and I've got the widest one and the second one from the beginning. So all right, let's get this apart. I think one thing I'm going to do is keep everything chained down, because eventually I'm going to work on this side first. When I go to pull this undercarriage away from the frame, that'll keep kind of the transmission over attached to the trailer while I try to separate this way. I think that's going to be the best move. I'm not going to record all this because it's just going to take too much time. Alright, so I got the drawbar and the rear hitch assembly off, which was easy enough. It was just 2 bolts on each side here, and those have to come out anyway. I think the next thing I want to do is try to get this frame separated. So best I can tell, it's being supported obviously by these cross members, one on each side. There's a U-bolt here, and it's got some bolts onto the front of the transmission. So I put some blocks of wood under the front, and I've got the floor jack underneath the frame here in the back, because I think when I just try to disconnect everything, it's going to try to obviously drop the frame, but even roll this back section forward when I take those front supports out. So hopefully the blocks of wood and the jack will kind of keep it suspended while I loosen everything, and then I'm going to try to lower the jack, and then, you know, get the wood pieces out and just kind of get the frame out of the way, and then we'll move the cribbing over here to put underneath the transmission while we separate this rear axle tube. So that's the plan anyway. We'll see how it actually turns out. Hey, I did want to show you a cool little, not really a tool, but a neat gadget that I got online. It's a, well, it was one ramp. It was one big ramp. It's some kind of like composite, poly, whatever. But it was one. You can see I cut it in half. And they have different heights. I think this was a 6-inch. They got like 4, 5, 5.5, 6. And you know, basically when I bring my stuff in and out through here, it's an obstacle trying to get over the curb, and of course I don't want to damage the curb either. So it's kind of nice to have these ramps, and they're rated, I think it's rated for like 8,000 pounds. So, you know, I got it narrow right now. I'm about to bring the Kubota through to get the frame off the trailer, and then eventually when we get the undercarriages off, I'll be using the OC3, and we use that to come up on here without damaging the curb. Alright, well, we got the OC3 unloaded, and I've got some 6x6 cribbing underneath the transmission here, so the tracks on this side are kind of a little bit off the ground. So I think really all I need to do at this point is finish getting these bolts out, and I'm hoping we can just pull this thing out to separate it. I've got a strap temporarily across here so that when I unbolt this, I don't think it's going to tip over. There's an axle in there, but not really sure what's all going to happen when I go to pull this out, because there ain't nothing to hold anything. So even when I pull it, like, it's either going to drop this way or drop this way, and definitely don't want to mess up the trailer. So we'll just kind of see how it goes. Let me get everything unbolted and I'll get you back when we pull it apart. Alright, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to move the OC3 forward some more and get the Kubota and put it here on the trailer. I think I can load the Kubota on here and get the bucket up to it to kind of keep it from falling over, but also use it to pull it out. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that works. Alright, it's separated about 3 inches, but I don't know if this is too heavy to move for the Kubota or if there's something hanging up in here. So I'm going to mess around with it. I mean, worst comes to worst, I'll cut this axle shaft right here. I am not going to use that for anything, and I just need to get this thing apart. Alright, I ain't got time to mess with this thing. I've got to get it apart, so got the torch out, and I'm just going to cut the axle. It's longer than what I need for mine anyway, if I ever needed one, and it's just slowing me down, so use the old liquid wrench and get it apart. Heat it up a little bit and see what we got. I'm sure it's hardened. I mean, it's a crawler axle. Probably not going to be the easiest thing to cut, but hopefully it doesn't do anything crazy. Probably should have brought the fire extinguisher, being as I'm cutting on a wooden deck. Well, I guess it was just something locked up in the transmission, because now that I got that axle cut, this undercarriage rolls freely, which just adds to the difficulty of how the hell I'm going to get this over to the side of my house. It's way too heavy for the Kubota to lift. There's no way, and I'm pretty sure the OC3 will lift it just fine. It's just kind of in a weird spot. I don't really want to pick it from the road because I'll be blocking traffic and tearing up the road too. So these are the kind of things I got to deal with doing this kind of stuff in a neighborhood environment. I think the easiest way is going to be to get this thing down on its side so it's not going to tip either way. At least I can control it when it's flat. But I don't want to damage my fenders, so I got these tires here. And I'm hoping this will do the trick. Well, that was not exciting. But it's really not that bad. Ease out a little more. That'll do it. I'm sure it would work, but I'm a little sketchy with it. The machine's new to me. I'm not used to the controls. The track frame's pretty awkward. I mean, it's heavy. It's not more than what that thing can lift, but just because of the length and the awkwardness, I'm by myself here trying to figure out how to chain and rig it, and it's just it's not making me feel at ease with everything. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to throw in the towel for getting these track frames unloaded, at least being that they're one piece. I'll probably go ahead and pull the master link out, get the tracks off, kind of break them down a little more into some more manageable pieces that I can lift with the Kubota. I don't want to tear up my road in front of my house with the tracks on this thing. You know, most of my other crawlers had minimum time on the road, and once they were restored they had the rubber track pads, which eventually this will get to, but in the meantime I don't want to tear up the road. It's just not worth it. So I'm going to go ahead and park the crawler, and I'll get these undercarriages kind of taken apart more. I still got to pull this transmission off this side and cut that axle too, I'm assuming, but at least they'll be on the trailer and I can work on breaking them down. I don't even have to keep my trailer here. I can put it in storage and work on it at storage or whatever. So and even then, if I decide that it's still too much, I'll just bring it over to my buddy Brian's. We'll pull it off with his Kubota and store them in the woods in case I actually need a part. I don't need any of these parts right now. This is just for a what if down the road, so it's not worth tearing up my road or the tractor or anything. So I'm putting a lot of faith in this OC3 right now. I have very little runtime. What I do, you've seen. So I don't know, it might have some issues when it gets hot or whatever, so I got to keep an eye on those things too. So just a lot going on. So anyway, I'm going to keep tinkering with this thing, but I'm going to end the video here. But yeah, 57 OC3 crawler track loader, pretty sweet, man. I'm glad to have it on the channel. I can't wait to restore it. And don't forget, comment below, do you want me to paint it the original dark forest green or go with the light gray navy ship color that my grandfather had on his? But anyway, hit that subscribe if you haven't yet, and we'll catch you in the next one.